All right, Yahoo Sportsbook Live here in Week 7. Jared, what's up, buddy? Thanks for joining the show today, man. How's Sunday treating you so far?
It's treating me like the Kansas City Chiefs and the New York Jets, man. I have some bets out there that aren't looking very promising. But other than that, it's a beautiful day. It's sunny and it's decent weather in Arizona.
Well, that's good, man, because it's actually for once supposed to rain here in Southern California. So you're missing out on that, which is good for you. And, yeah, the Chiefs, man, might be looking at missing out on the playoffs with the way they're going. Like, I know at some point, you know, the damn ship will right itself. But combined with the fact that their defense is just not good, and, like, you know, we were talking about it with our producers before then, like, it's not going to suddenly get better because it's not really a scheme issue. They just don't have enough good players, like, all over the defense. Like, their linebackers might be the worst unit in the entire NFL. Their cornerback room is kind of shaky. There's some youth there, inexperience, whatever. But, I mean, right now, 27-0, the Titans over the Chiefs. The current halftime line is Tennessee minus 17.5. Jared, this thing opened up -4 on the Chiefs side. And yes, as I said earlier today, whining season on A.J. Brown is now officially closed. Jared, I know you've been around the block a few times. Can you ever remember a more, like, frustrating start to the season for a player? You know, you got A.J. Brown coming in. He has that drop-filled week 2 against the Seahawks. Goes on a hamstring absence, comes back, gets a literal case of, let's just call it the bubble gut, thanks to Chipotle. And now we're back in here, though. 101 yards in the first half, a touchdown. But Jared, my man, what's going on with the Chiefs? Like, what are we doing here?
Oh, man, it's called Super Bowl hangover, man. A lot of people who lose in the Super Bowl, except for the Patriots for some reason, tend to have a terrible year the next year. Obviously, that's the worst feeling any NFL player can feel, is the feeling of defeat at the Super Bowl. Some teams recover well. The Chiefs absolutely aren't. They're struggling. Obviously, they have to pay too many of their players. They have so many good players that are getting paid top of their position that they have to force feed some of these smaller guys to get minimum contracts, and that just doesn't work. And so what you're seeing is a team that has a very bad defense who's been getting saved by their offense. Watch their offense have a very bad game. Pat Mahomes is probably having his worst game of his career, and that's including Texas Tech. And I don't think this game, if you're live betting this one, I would still stay on the Titans here. I just think that the Chiefs are going to call it in pretty soon. They're getting nothing. I think 55 yards from Mahomes in the first half, 27 quarterback rating. You times that with the fact that their defense can't stop anything right now. I think that this Titans team may roll them by 35 to 40.
Yeah, so you think you'd stay with Tennessee minus 17.5. I mean, that is a pretty big line there. And the thing is, though, you know, the Titans haven't been the team we maybe thought they would have been. They've got a problem on defense as well, but showed up today. And the thing is, like, once you get this offense with both Derrick Henry and A.J. Brown cooking. I mean, Julio Jones has 2 catches for 38 yards. They haven't even gotten him fired up all the way yet. But, like, A.J. Brown is one of the best receivers in the NFL. If he's healthy and not having to take, you know, mid-game bathroom breaks, or like losing 8 pounds right before Monday Night Football last week, like, you're going to have a pretty dangerous offense there. Tannehill playing a clean game as well. So, you know, when the Chiefs face a team like this that can put up points in a hurry, like the Tennessee Titans can, because they've got great players, you know, they need to have a kind of a counterpunch, this Chiefs team, too. You know, Travis Kelce also been dealing with injuries. Tyreek Hill has barely been practicing dealing with injuries. And we know, Jared, that their offensive depth chart beyond those 2 guys, you know, we're looking at, like, Josh Gordon on his 20th team. McCole Hardman has never stepped up. Like, CEH is hurt, and I mean, I don't even know how good CEH is. So it's a tough scene out there for the Kansas City Chiefs.
They got it figured out finally. I mean, it took a while. Obviously, Andy Reid built something great there, where their offense was pretty much unstoppable, but now teams are getting a blueprint on how to shut down Tyreek Hill. And once you eliminate Tyreek Hill, it kind of condenses that offense. And so, yeah, I hope they do good. But, like, you would make a point about the Titans, and you keep emphasizing on A.J. Brown and his bathroom breaks. But that team is very much pick your poison. I mean, they're going to get better running the ball with Derrick Henry. And if they decide to do play action fake when they have a lead, they're just a dangerous team. Now, I know the Titans very well as being a Jaguars fan for 4 years, that the Titans are the type of team that beats the best teams, i.e. the Bills and what used to be the Chiefs. And they lose to the worst teams. They lost to the Jets this year. They play to their competition's level. So when you see them as a heavy dog, bet them, because they'll play close. And if you see them as a heavy favorite, fade them. That's my rules with the Titans, and I stick to them.
Yeah, they definitely play the, no one believes in us card pretty well. I mean, they made themselves like a martyr last year when they had a COVID outbreak and like, oh, no one believed in us coming this game. Well, I mean, give me a break, guys. I don't know if you were like the victims in this situation. But anyways, let's move on. I would not want to be those Chiefs defenders having to deal with Derrick Henry, in the second half of this game, sporting that kind of lead. Give me a break there. Let's move
He's going to get 200 yards.
Gets better. Yeah, he gets better. He's going to keep rolling. Let's move to the Bengals and the Ravens, obviously featuring your brother there. Bengals currently sporting a 13-10 lead over the Baltimore Ravens. The halftime line, though, is Baltimore -1.5. Jared, I'll go ahead and make a bold prediction that you're going to tell us if you're live betting this game, you're going with Baltimore -1.5 here still.
Yes. I think the Ravens are clearly the better team here. I think they've almost got Joe Burrow sacked about 5 times, and I think second half that happens. The offense had a terrible first quarter. I think they went 2 straight 3-and-outs to start the game, and they spotted the Bengals 10 points. I don't think that's going to be the case second half. I actually like the Ravens to roll them here. I do think the Bengals are the second best team in the AFC North. So all you Steelers fans and Browns fans, sorry to hear it. The Bengals are in the future. But I think this Ravens team should be able to pull this game off.
Yeah, looking right over this game, by the way, just one piece of news, too, before we keep talking about this game. Darren Waller is officially inactive, so if you've got fantasy teams out there, you count on Darren Waller, you need to go ahead and get him out your lineup. Look for a replacement tight end. I personally, if Ricky Seals-Jones is still available, other guys like that, go make sure you check that. Well, Ricky Seals-Jones is playing right now, so I think
he's playing. Yeah,
never mind. Don't listen to what I said.
O.J. Howard. O.J. Howard. That's me. I'm telling people. O.J. Howard, if you can. Yeah, that's the one that's going to step up this week.
There you go. There's a good piece of analysis there by.
Am I a fantasy expert now? Am I a fantasy expert?
Yeah. I'll host the Rush. You do Fantasy Football Live. We'll just go ahead and switch it up there. Let's just keep this thing moving on.
All right.
I will say this though, on the Bengals, pretty surprising, at least to me so far. They've come out and been very pass heavy. 24 pass attempts in the first half for Joe Burrow. Joe Mixon just 5 carries. That is sort of more the team that they looked like in 2020 when they were extremely pass heavy. So far this year, they've really been going Mixon's way. I think, to kind of protect Joe Burrow, still coming back from all those injuries. But, man, this has been good to see. Obviously, C.J. Uzomah rips off a huge play, 55-yard touchdown for him. T. Higgins, they've been trying to get the ball to, but just 4 catches for 33 yards on 11 targets. So we'll see what that brings. And, of course, Jamar Chase, you bet the over on his longest reception prop every single week. 26-yard long catch so far in this one, just 4 targets. But, Devontae Freeman, if you had to start him during the bye week hell in fantasy football, he's made himself known there with a touchdown. But I'm with you, man. I think the Ravens are the bet here in the second half. I still believe they are the much better team than Cincinnati, despite coming in with a pretty decent record. All right, let's move let's do Washington at Green Bay. This opened up Packers -8.5. Pretty tight there, 14-7, but the halftime line has still moved more in favor of Green Bay. Green Bay -10.5. This one's been interesting so far, too. Taylor Heineke ripped off a long run there early on, but also, you've got Aaron Rodgers has thrown 3 touchdowns so far. Oh, excuse me, I was looking at the wrong line. They've just scored here as the third quarter's opened up. Yeah, they just scored again as the third quarter opened up. It's a long touchdown to Robert Tonyan. It's been a while since we've heard from him, but touchdown to Alan Lazard, touchdown to Devontae Adams, touchdown to Robert Tonyan there. Where do you see this one going in the second half here, Jared?
To quote one of my great colleagues, Matt Harmon, you don't talk bad about Aaron Rodgers. He's playing good football right now. I think the guy only has 4 incompletions in his game, 3 touchdowns, and I just don't see him slowing down. I feel like the only thing that can save the football team here is the time. So I think that the Packers maybe score a couple more touchdowns. I don't think the football team can do it. They swing together 1, but I don't know if they can score 2. So I like the Packers to roll them here. Live bet the Packers. Tell them Jared Quay sent you.
Yeah, agree. I mean, how long it holds at -10.5 remains to be seen, but still, I would almost definitely take the Packers either way. There's almost no chance that there's no chance for old Washington to keep it close here. I think we'll get a couple more turnovers off Heineke, anything like that. They brought up my tweet earlier. It brings me no pleasure to say that we might be seeing Kyle Allen soon in replacement of Taylor Heineke until Ryan Fitzpatrick can get back. It just remains to be seen how long that one can hold up. Let's talk Dolphins Falcons here. That one just came back here in the third quarter, but at halftime, 13-7 in favor of the Atlanta Falcons. You had a hot take about Kyle Pitts during our little pre-show chat. I don't know if you want to unveil that for the people, but it is currently Atlanta -4.5 there. I think Atlanta's starting to figure things out, man, and this Miami team just has too many problems all over the field.
I mean, this is the Miami team that just lost to the Jaguars last week, so I wouldn't say anything confident about them. But if they do get Deshaun Watson, I'd like them to turn the season around and make it as a wild card. I had a hot take where I'll say it out loud in front of everybody who's watching it. I think University of Florida Gator players usually bust in the NFL. That resume perfectly fits Kyle Pitts right now. Yes, he had an amazing game before the bye when he was the only offensive option that the Falcons had. I still think this kid is I think he's building up. I'm not going to call him a bust, but I will say that he is not meeting the expectations of the 4th overall pick right now. And I still think these Dolphins could actually win. They play pretty good in the 4th quarter. They keep games close. So I would personally live bet the Dolphins. I bet them before the game, so maybe I'm chasing there. That just a little bit of green area there. But yeah, I think this Dolphins team has a lot of players that are injured, and once they get back healthy, they're going to be a good team. The Falcons on the other end, I do think Coach Arthur Smith is a pretty good coach, but I think they're still a couple years away from being the good days when they lost 28-3 in the Super Bowl.
Well, Jared, not meeting expectations. Kyle Pitts has 101 yards on 4 catches so far this game, and the Falcons just scored again. It's now 20-7. Long Russell Gage touchdown from old Matt Ryan there down the middle of that Miami secondary. I don't know, man. I don't. Miami, getting Deshaun Watson or not, I have no idea. This team has way too many problems. Every move they've made in this rebuild has basically been a failure so far. They've not been able to rebuild this defense. The offensive line has been a total mess. It's one of the worst run blocking and pass blocking units in the entire NFL. And their quarterback that they took top 5, they just are giving up on now, apparently. They tried to surround him with skill position guys. Will Fuller's hurt. Devontae Parker is always hurt and not that good anyways, average player. Jalen Waddle looks like a good pick, but they had to give up a first-round pick for him next year to go out and get him, but at least he has 52 yards in this game. I don't know, man. I got bad vibes around Miami right now, and I do not think Deshaun Watson would be enough.
All right, hot take.
I think they're still a very bad team.
What bot do I get to record you saying that take so that next year I'll be like, Harmon, remember this clip?
What? That they're not a good team? I mean, they're not a good team.
They're going to be good. If they get Deshaun Watson, they're a much better team. They have all the pieces. Deshaun Watson always plays without a decent line, and he makes magic. If they can get Watson, I think this is a solid team that makes a wild card. Take it.
All right.
Take it and run with
it. If you say so, Jared. I don't know how much time you want to spend on the Carolina-New York Giants game. It's literally 3-5 New York over Carolina in New York. Jared, do you care about this game at all?
No, not at all. The unders and the Carolina Panthers are like peanut butter and jelly. So if you're betting anything with them, just stay with the under. Their defense has been able to slow teams down. And Sam Darnold's going to Sam Darnold, baby. So with that being the case, if they play an explosive offense, teams like the Packers or the Ravens, I do think that maybe they will find some trouble. But if you bet them in the under every week, I think you're in a lot of money already. So I think that holds true for today as well.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I would stay away from the Carolina Panthers the rest of the year. Sam Darnold is Sam Darnold. What a shock that he would start to fall apart without Christian McCaffrey and behind this offensive line. That was the plan. This offensive line in front of Sam Darnold, you knew this was not going to work, or at least you should have known this was not going to work. Let's talk one more game here that's at halftime. It's New York, the Jets, in New England. 31-7, the Patriots are beating the New York Jets. The current halftime line is New England minus 27.5. Rookie quarterback Zach Wilson, I don't know if we've got an update on him, but he left the game earlier. Jared, the Jets have no experience behind Zach Wilson. They were basically just counting on freaking Zach Wilson to go out there and be their starter all year. And, nothing going on there. He gets hurt. Already wasn't playing well. Now you've got Mike White out there. So, I mean, that's a huge line, 27.5 for the New England Patriots. But I kind of think this one could hold up.
Yeah, the Jets are like the longest yard. They're just a bunch of people that are put on the team. They don't have any star I'm wondering who they've been drafting these years. I know they've been building their defensive line, but their offense right now looks like a bunch of guys that, were in the XFL 2 years ago. With that being the case, I just think that as much as I don't like the Patriots, Bill Belichick and Mac Jones have found a way to make that offense score points. And right now, the Jets, you can't score, so obviously 27 is a lot for an NFL team, but I really don't see the Patriots slowing down here.
No, me neither. I think Mac Jones is kind of starting to figure it out, too. They had another wide receiver throw a touchdown pass today. Kendrick Bourne threw a touchdown to Nelson Aguilar, I believe. So the non-touchdown streak for Jacoby Myers, sadly, continues. We'll continue to monitor all that.
How much is that on now?
Right now.
Oh, I just want to know Jacoby Myers' stats. How long has the Jacoby Myers drought been going on?
It's been he's never scored a receiving touchdown. He has the most catches in NFL history to have never scored a receiving touchdown. It's unbelievable bad luck. He got targeted. He was getting open on a slant route earlier in this game, and the freaking Jets pass interfered with him, like held him at the goal line. It's like everything is conspiring against this guy to score a touchdown. Like, what are we doing? Let Jacoby Myers in the end zone, man. It's unbelievable here. But we will continue to monitor all the games going on right now. We'll continue to monitor all of the Jacoby Myers touchdown pain. But going forward, let's talk about some of the games that are coming up later today. Jared, let's start with Eagles at Raiders. Raiders are -2 in this game. I wanted to run this by you. I thought this was interesting. I read a quote this week from Josh Jacobs. I'm paraphrasing here, obviously Raiders running back. He basically said that the sideline energy was so much more relaxed last week. Obviously, we know that there were some changes to the Raiders coaching staff last week. He said the sideline was it was basically anxiety free. There was not this anxious feeling held over all of us. No one was cussing you out, constantly fighting with the refs. It was just much more relaxed, no anxiety. Do you think like the Raiders might be getting a little bit of juice here with John Gruden out of the mix?
No, I mean, obviously they beat a Broncos team that we saw on Thursday. Just isn't a very good team right now. I think that obviously John Gruden had a lot of control in that locker room, being such a, what his resume had before obviously gave him some respect. But I still think that this Raiders team is still figuring out. You just said Darren Waller's out. You add that to the fact that I think this Eagles team is better than their record, and I think they're going to try to prove to make sure they don't go down 2-5 this season. I think the Eagles win, and I think they win pretty handily. That's just my hot take. Obviously, I think the Raiders are one of the most unpredictable teams in the NFL. When you think they're going to be bad, they're going to be good. When you think they're going to be good, they're going to be bad. So them being favored, it makes me all the more welcome to say that they're going to lose this one by at least 3 points.
Yeah, I'm a little tempted to go with the Eagles and the +2, but, I do think this is going to be an interesting game for fantasy. Look, you look at Henry Ruggs right now. This guy's actually playing really well. Almost 40% of his targets have come 20-plus yards down the field. He should get a bump with Darren Waller out of there. Also think Hunter Renfrow gets a bump with Darren Waller out of there, as they're both kind of like the middle of the field players there. So, the Eagles were pretty bad against tight ends. I really thought this was going to be like the spot for Darren Waller to like buy low on him in fantasy, play him in daily fantasy this week. But obviously did not really happen. So we shall see how that game goes. Look, let's talk about the topic of the day. The Lions going into LA, just right down the street from me here. Rams -16.5. I don't think this is a Matthew Stafford revenge game. Like, what does Matthew Stafford need to get revenge on the Lions for? They were nice enough to let him get his ass out of town there. Like, they gave him a ticket out of this mess to go to a much better situation with the LA Rams here. Jared, how do you see this game going out? And do you feel bad for Jared Goff, who is running into a really tough situation here?
No, I think Jared Goff was a first overall pick. I think he's been the luxury of having a great run game and a good defense to carry him all the way to a Super Bowl. And his career so far has been a lot better than people who I feel like are better quarterbacks that never got the chance to. So no, him with a couple of years that's on the Lions who just can't figure it out ever is not a bad thing. You're right, 100% correct. This is not a revenge game for Matt Stafford. If anything, it's him looking at his ex-girlfriend that he's doing better with now. And it's kind of, he should be embarrassed. He should be embarrassed that he's having so much fun. I think this line is set way too high, though. It's hard to beat another NFL team by 16 points. I think the Lions have played a lot of close games against pretty good teams, and they have every bit of incentive to basically want to show that Matt Stafford isn't as great as everybody's making him out to be. They know all of his flaws, I'm sure. So if I'm a betting person, I actually like the Lions to come in and keep it, maybe lose by 14. Would that be that bad? No? That's what I'm hoping for. So, yeah, I'm on the Lions.
All right, so you think they are we got a question here from Twitter. Which double-digit underdog covers later today? You think the Lions cover here. What about the Texans or the Browns? Anyone there, or Bears, excuse me, anyone there that you think is a good bet to cover a pretty big spread?
I don't want to touch the Texans right now. Their coaching is very conservative with a quarterback that I feel like is hot and cold. So I think the Cardinals are a wild card team that I just don't want to bet against right now. And then the Bears, man, the thing about Brady is Brady likes to run the score. Brady's going to try to stay into the fourth quarter even if they're winning, and he's going to try to throw touchdowns. And with that being the case, I'm not putting my faith in Justin Fields to backdoor cover there. So I think that both of those teams may actually lose by the spread, but I do think the Lions keep it close. I think they're a much better team than people are showing them on paper. They did get blown out last week, but I do think that they bounce back with the incentive of basically beating someone, and that old guy showing that you're good. This is the revenge game. This is Patriots playing against the Patriots playing against the Bucs pretty tough against Brady. I think the Lions will keep this one pretty close against the Rams.
If this was in Detroit, I might agree with you, but the fact that it's in LA, I don't know about that. You got Dan Campbell calling out Jared Goff after a bad performance, saying he needs to step up. We'll see if he steps up against his former team there. Jared, we kind of hit on the Cardinals over the Texans. We hit on the Bucs over the Bears. I don't know, there's too much more to say about that. Let's move into the two games, Sunday night and Monday Night Football, because I'll tell you what, man, these on paper do not look like great games, so we got to give the people something to watch here. We got to give the people something to get excited about. Let's talk San Francisco, Indianapolis. In San Francisco, we've got them minus 3.5, 42-point over-under. I know there's supposed to be some bad weather up there a little farther north in California. We've got 49ers coming off their bye. We've got the Colts kind of playing pretty hot right now. Like Carson Wentz over 11 yards per attempt in back-to-back games. How do you see this game playing out?
It's different. I don't know. Jimmy Garoppolo, I think, is going to be under center. They're coming off a bye. He has every bit of proof that he should be starting, so I feel like he'll be motivated. But this Colts defense has woken up. They've been playing exceptionally well. They almost beat my Ravens. Then they went out and dominated the next week against the Texans. I think that this should be a closer game than 3.5. I think 4 points is a lot, especially when teams don't need to win by that much. And with that being the case, I like the Colts here. But I do think that the 49ers win this one money line. I think Kyle Shanahan after a bye should be better, especially with that conference really running away with the Cardinals and the Rams at the top. So he needs this victory. So I like the Colts with the points, and I like the money line on the Niners.
All right, yeah, I like that. I am with you. I like the Colts plus 3.5. Let's jump right into the player props too, Jared. Jared, 24-12 here, your boy, on the player props. I'm riding pretty high so far on these player props. So let's talk the three I've got for this one. First up, this one is my most confident one. I got to admit, these two games I do not have a lot of confidence in, but we'll see how it goes. I don't want to start hedging or anything. But the one I'm most confident in, Jonathan Taylor over 68.5 rushing yards at minus 115. We think of the 49ers as this great defense. We think of them as a really strong unit. But so far, actually, from a run defense perspective, they're 28th in explosive rushing plays allowed. They have not been good at limiting explosive ground attacks, big plays on the ground. And Jared, who creates big plays at the running back position? It's like Derrick Henry, all the main names we know. But man, this guy, Jonathan Taylor, he's got the juice. He's juiced up. They only gave him 2 first-half carries against the Texans last week. No way they do that again. He still managed to have a huge game despite the limited workload. I think if there's bad weather in this game, give me a break. They're going to load Jonathan Taylor up with some big plays. I really like this one as the most confident pick I have this game.
Okay. I love him on screens too. I don't know what his player prop is for receiving yards, but I think the screen game he's gonna break off a big one on the screen too. So load up on that. I think he scores a touchdown too. So those are what I like. But you're 100% correct. I think them have to force feed him the ball, especially in a rain game. And let's be honest, when they win is when he has good games. So I think that's a great prop at minus 115. It's kind of a steal. So yeah, listen to Harmon. The boy's hot. He's on fire.
All right, second one here. I'm going to stay with the Colts. I mentioned Carson Wentz. He's also kind of been on fire. I kind of like Carson Wentz over 1.5 passing touchdowns at plus odds. Plus 170 is where I got this one. earlier on Saturday. Look, Carson Wentz has been playing extremely well. Obviously, there's some injuries in there. You know, Paris Campbell, T.Y. Hilton, after big games last week, they're both off the board here. Paris Campbell, I think, is out for the long term as well. So tough scene for that guy. Just cannot stay healthy. It's unfortunate. But Michael Pittman is having a breakout season. Mo Alley Cox, also the pride of VCU, Jared. He scored a touchdown last week, 28 yards. Carson Wentz has been slinging this ball downfield. I know that there might be some troublesome rain situation, but San Francisco also very beat up in the secondary. I do like Carson Wentz to throw at least 2 touchdowns here.
I love that right now. I think obviously he gets a lot of help from having pass catching backs too, and so that adds to his touchdowns. And then, like you said, Pittman's been a machine this year, man. He's jumping over 2 guys and embarrassing people this year.
Oh, yeah.
Really in a breakout year, so I like that one too. Plus, the 49ers defense really hasn't been as strong as he has been in previous years. So both those props, Harmon, I don't disagree with you. And this is rare because I like disagreeing with you, man. So that's pretty shocking, right, that we're 2 for 2 with each other.
All right, well, maybe you'll disagree on this last one, although it is minus 130. Eli Mitchell over 15.5 carries. Now, I didn't want to take a production-based one here with Eli Mitchell because the Colts' run defense has actually been really good. But what we saw last week or 2 weeks ago before the bye for San Francisco is that Eli Mitchell is the guy over Trey Sermon. No question about it in the rushing game for the 49ers. Obviously, just Trey Lance was back there taking all the rushing work himself in that game against the Cardinals. But now that Jimmy G's back there, rainy conditions, all of that, we know the 49ers want to establish the run. I see Mitchell clearing 15.5 carries in the spot. I don't want to bet on the production because the Colts run defense is actually extremely good. Speaking of revenge game, DeForest Buckner going against a team that traded him to Indianapolis. I really do like the carries for Mitchell, but nothing on the production here.
Yeah, I think that's going to come down to game flow. If they get down behind early, which I think could be the case, they're going to have to start throwing the ball. I don't know about carries, and based on game planning, you're really basing it off the first 15 plays that are scripted, and I don't know how much they're going to try to run into that stout run defense. So if they get a lead, obviously it's an easy winner if they get up ahead. But if the Colts find a way to jump to an early lead, Harmon, that may be the one that makes what's your record again on props? 28 and 14?
24-12. So yeah, I've mostly been like 2-1. It could go 2-1. 2-1, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what's gonna happen. I don't love this one as much as I like the other 2. Maybe I am super high on the Colts though, so maybe you're right.
Well, you can help me out with this next one because I definitely had trouble picking props for the next game. Not a lot available because of injury questions, but we've got the New Orleans Saints traveling to Seattle. Seattle is a 4.5-point home dog. Total is 42.5. Just from a line spread perspective here, Jared, who do you like in this game? I mean, it is kind of tough to see Seattle a 4.5-point dog to a team in New Orleans that I think New Orleans is still trying to figure itself out with Jameis Winston there. But where do you lean in this game?
The Saints are coming off a bye. I think they'll play good. Obviously, the Seahawks have name recognition at this point, and they have the 12th man. But I just still think they're a depleted team when it comes to injuries. That being the case, their defense is solid. But Jameis, I think, is a wild card as a quarterback. LASIK Jameis is playing a lot better this year. Obviously, he's throwing more touchdowns. If he can get some yards there, I just feel like 1 or 2 break loose long balls down there, I think could change this game up completely, and even the game plan with making Geno Smith more of a passer than a running team. So I actually like the Saints to win and cover this game.
Yeah, I think I kind of agree with you there, mostly because Seattle's defense is terrible, and that's where most of my player props lean. First of all, Alvin Kamara over 129.5 rushing plus receiving yards. We got total yards here at minus 115. Seattle is allowing 181.5 total yards to running backs per game so far. We've seen several running backs have huge receiving games. Both Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines caught 6 passes in week 1. Derrick Henry had like the best receiving game of his life with 6 catches for 55 yards. Najee Harris obviously got 6 catches last time we saw him play this team. They're horrible at defending running backs in the run game and the pass game. Kamara has not been as involved as a receiver here. That's why I like being able to pair it with the rushing yards because he's still 5th in the NFL in total touches despite the fact the Saints had their bye. I think this one's a pretty safe lock for Alvin Kamara. Total yards here, 129.5. Yeah,
no, he's a big part of their offense. I don't see them scoring many points without him getting that. And I love the fact you can get it either way. If you get a long run from a screen or if you get a breakout run, it helps you. So therefore, I think 129 is a solid play for, pretty much the heart and soul of that Saints offense.
Now, you brought up LASIK Jameis. Jameis has only thrown 30 passes in one game. He's come under that total every single week before their goodbye against Washington, that game that they won there. But, man, I do like him to throw at least 2 touchdowns in this game. So I'm going to go over 1.5 passing touchdowns at plus 130 for Jameis Winston. As I mentioned, that Seattle defense stinks. They're bad defending running backs. Well, they're bad defending the passing game too. I think if anybody other than Ben Roethlisberger was playing them last week, they would have gotten blown out. So I see Jameis. I'm not like bullish on his yardage because they have kind of been trying to hide him, but he leads all quarterbacks in touchdown rate right now. So why not give him 2 more here in Seattle?
That's plus 130. That's a steal right there. The Seahawks have trouble really getting to the quarterback. Their pass rush with 4 down just is not very good at all. And I think Jameis really gets to a lot of his trouble when he's getting blitzed and he makes rush decisions. But if you give him time, I think he can slice you back there. So 1.5 Sean Payton in that short yardage game, I just don't see how he doesn't get 2 touchdowns. That's a solid bet. That might be the best one of it for me. That's the Quay approved bet from your 5 that you told me already. I like Jameis at plus 130. I might even, put some on that myself. Thank you, Harmon, for that bet.
There you go. Yeah. Hey, you're welcome, buddy. I'm here for you. Last one, and this is actually going to be on a Seahawk here. Tyler Lockett over 46.5 receiving yards at minus 110. Jared, Marshawn Lattimore is like kind of a tough cornerback to read because like sometimes he has these bad games, but sometimes like he just will shut down a number 1 receiver, especially like every time he plays Mike Evans, man, he's locking down Mike Evans. Like they gave him all that money just for those 2 matchups against Mike Evans every year because he just always shuts that guy down. I could see, man, like primetime game against DK Metcalf. Marshawn Lattimore is going to get up for that one. Tracks DK all over the field. The Saints actually have been top 10 in catches and yards allowed to slot receivers this year. I know the communication, the chemistry is not there between Geno Smith and Tyler Lockett like it is when Russell Wilson's back there, but at just 46.5 yards, we're just asking for maybe 1 or 2 big plays out of Lockett, and he did get 7 targets last week against the Steelers, so still a big part of the offense.
Yeah, I don't know how much I love this one. I think Geno, of his 2 interceptions, he's been trying to get Tyler Lockett the ball, and I just think that they aren't sinking as much as I would like them to. Yeah. And I think if DK Metcalf does get locked up, you're going to see a lot more tight end and screens. I don't know how much I trust Geno throwing the ball down the field, even if it's to a slot. But that being the case, I think Tyler Lockett's an amazing receiver. But if this team, they're just really trying to hold on. I don't think they're going to try to stretch too much. They're going to hope that they can keep this game low scoring. I don't know if he'll hit that amount. You're really looking at pretty much a long pass there. You're hoping that he gets a long bomb. I don't think he's going to get a bunch of targets of 6 and 7 yards to get you over that. Not my favorite prop of yours, but again, since you're promoting it on the show of Sportsbook Live and people like you and they want to see you win, I hope it hits, Harmon. I just don't believe it with my own money. I'm not betting it.
I hear you. Hey, look, I wanted to get a receptions prop. There's nothing on BetMGM. No reception prop for this entire game, so couldn't get that. Had to go with the yardage there for Tyler Lockett. I'm not going to bet. Only one good I could get longest reception on was Alvin Kamara at 14.5. So there were limited options in this game, Jared, but I still think Tyler Lockett from a matchup perspective could get it here. Jared, I always appreciate when you jump on the show and hang out with me here, man. Any final thoughts for the rest of Week 7 before we get out of here?
I put my phone down, so I'm not aware of the Ravens game. But if the Ravens win this one, man, I like them to get that AFC bye week, man. That's what I'm hoping for, man. I'm hoping that I can rest and watch the first week of the playoffs, man. That's what I'm hoping for. That's all I have. If you guys are betting, man, have a good time, bet responsible. And Harmon, hit all 4 of those props for me, bro.
Hey, buddy, I'm trying. I'll do what I can here. I appreciate you hanging out with me. I appreciate everybody else out there for watching. Good luck the rest of Week 7. Good luck to your fantasy teams, your daily fantasy teams, all your prop picks, your bets, everything out there. Let's go crush it.